All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. We're coming out of closed session. We did have a change on the agenda. We are moving item number 1 on the closed session agenda to the public portion. So we did not discuss item number 1 in closed session. And I guess we can do that now. Is it Gregory Farrellbuck? Are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So the heading on the agenda is discussion with GMA or administrator search. So the floor is yours, and why don't you give us a little background on who you are, what you do, what your company does, and what you need from us, or what you're proposing.
Several shared services studies, consolidation studies, executive searches, in addition to that, services more positions in clerk, finance officer, public works director, etc. Government management advisors was approached back in late summer by the council president to come to Englewood to provide assistance.
Now, we're Englewood Cliffs. We're not Englewood. We're Englewood Cliffs. We're your client. Englewood's another town.
I shortened my apologies.
Well, if you shorten it, then you're in the wrong town.
You'll get used to it.
All elected officials by previously in contact with the council president. So there was some predatory comments I would like to first, we came to provide assistance, and we were of the belief that there was an ability to be able to make positive and lasting difference in the management of the borough, and that what the governing body is seeking government management process. And during the time we have been here, we have noticed a number of both behavioral and systemic issues that need to be addressed. It is my feeling after many executive searches that extraordinarily difficult to recruit a professional manager or administrator to be able to come to any place.
Could you make it louder? We can't hear you.
One of the things that absolutely necessary, and I think it was stated,
This one's not true.
was that it requires an active, committed, continuous support of the government, especially during this first year. There's often a period for city manager, borough administrator, a township administrator. Is that the whole that we go to be able to recruit? And at this point, I feel as if it's extremely difficult to be able to recruit a qualified professional for the position. And so therefore, we have not submitted a proposal to do a true executive search. While we do not really go down to the borough position, I believe the best that we can do is to work hand in hand to be able to assist in process to assure that the party which you choose to be in a position for the industry would be competent and qualified to do so. We have submitted to you a memorandum outlining some of the issue.
Hold on, tell me to stop.
One moment, Greg, please.
Greg, one moment. Greg, can you hear me? Just give me one moment.
Tell him to count.
Can you count? Testing? I'm gonna test it. Test.
Can you count, Greg?
Everyone turn their microphones off. Microphones off. You have your microphone on?
I do, I'm running a meeting.
You gotta turn it off, otherwise you're gonna get feedback. You wanna hear him, you gotta turn your microphone on.
We're not gonna hear him anyway. Why doesn't he just come here in person? Give us a
Let the
proper.
record show that the mayor won't cooperate to turn off his mic so we can hear the presentation and the
Good.
My microphone's
Mike,
on.
is your mic on?
You know, it's intentional.
Yeah, yours is off. This one is on.
I thought you were the audio video guy.
I'm trying my best. You know. Okay. Now, you have to make sure that this is going out. Is it talking?
No.
Have him talk.
Can you say something, Mr. Rundle?
You just want to test and find out if I'm working?
Okay, we good?
Keep on talking.
Keep talking.
Yeah. Mr. Fehrenbach, keep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Thank you.
7.
Thank you.
Gosh, you are an audio-visual guy.
Oh,
my God.
Please continue.
It was easier to turn off the mayor's mic.
I concluded.
Okay. We hear you loud and clear, Mr. Fehrenbach. Thank you.
And can you start over?
No, you don't have to start.
You can't hear me.
Laura, can you provide me some direction? What am I supposed to do?
Maybe Julie's.
Can you hear the mayor?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, so we heard parts of what you were saying. I know there was a December 4th memorandum that you prepared. I got it today. And you're touching on some issues. I don't think, based on what you're saying, that you have a good understanding of this town and its history. But putting that aside, what can you actually do for us?
What I indicated was, in my earlier comments that you may not have heard, was that I do not feel as if we would be able to recruit a qualified professional to be able to take on this position of all of the professionals that exist in New Jersey that are typically applicants for this sort of a position. I do believe that we would be able to assist you in walking through a recruitment and selection process, but I would not be guaranteeing you that we would be able to find and identify the right person for this position. So I guess there are three elements to what I am saying. One is, so long as the governing body wishes government management advisors to continue in the role of interim borough administrator, we will do so. To the extent that you would wish government management advisors to assist you in a recruitment and selection process, we will do that. Not as a typical executive search, but as a party who would assist you in going through the steps that are needed in order to choose the right person. I would also mention to you that there are 3 other firms in New Jersey, the Canning Group, Jersey Professional Management, and Matthew Watkins, who work in the northern New Jersey area in this field, and you could speak to them about pursuing an executive search, whether that is what you wish to do. We don't want to leave you in the lurch, and we're willing to provide you assistance, but we're not willing to be responsible for a complete executive search because I have strong feelings about the difficulty of being successful in that regard.
Okay, so what are we doing? He's basically telling us we can't do anything, or I didn't invite him. I don't know. I'm not looking at it, I'm asking Tim, I'm looking at Tim actually. What are we doing here? We've got this gentleman on the phone.
Is there any other feedback you'd like to give us, Greg?
I think I provided that feedback in the
The gentleman had the opportunity to speak.
We had an opportunity, but we didn't have it as long as other people had. We got it today.
All right, well, it was pretty short, pretty to the point. Do you have any questions?
Actually, it wasn't to the point. It was somewhat rambling. And we did, in a nutshell, what you're saying is you'll give us guidelines to recruit, but you don't want any responsibility for recruiting. So how would you get paid for giving us guidelines that we all pretty much figure out on our own?
No, that's not what I was suggesting, but it would be on an hourly basis, and we would provide the services that you as a governing body choose you want to receive.
All right, so why don't we do this? If you want, make us a proposal, and then we'll review next week. So
Greg, we discussed a flat fee basis, right? That's not an option anymore, or?
It would be in terms of an upper limit. It would be on an hourly basis with an upper limit because that is what the local public contracts law would require.
We don't have upper limits.
And before we could, I guess as per your memo, part of the constraints will be what, to change the ordinance to open-ended, is that correct?
We'll have to do that in order to be able to get somebody who is currently successful in their current position, which is the way it's laid out in the
So I suppose it's something that the council needs to think about and perhaps putting in the ordinance next week, if possible.
But you have to wait until after January 1st.
Okay, so after January, fair enough. So this is something that I suppose government management services feel very strongly about, and do you have any questions regarding that, guys, while you're here?
Thank you. Greg, I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you have a pool of perhaps retired fellow administrators that have had years of experience, such as Jewel, that you might be in a position to recommend to this borough as an interim for, let's say, 1 year. Is that along the line of thinking that you would recommend somebody to come in that has years and years of experience and has the weight of knowledge, and if we can empower that administrator with, you said in your memo, look at the bylaws to empower them to really take over. How would that sit? Is that, if you could draw a picture for us, let's put it this way, a diagnosis for Englewood Cliffs, and what would be the best way to move forward?
I'm not sure I'm fully understanding what you're saying, but what I was trying to say about the problem of having a one-year term is that the only other place of which I am aware that there is a term limit is when we're talking about the strong mayor form of government, in which the term of the administrator is coterminous with that of the mayor, as are all department heads. And that is a 4-year term. All other administrative positions, whether they be in boroughs, townships, towns, villages, they are open-ended under the statute that empowers municipalities to hire administrators. And the only limitation on that appointment is a 90-day severance requirement. And that is it. And what I'm saying is that if you're looking for a professional who has been successful previously to come into this position and to serve this municipality appropriately, they are not going to leave a piece of dry ground for the purposes of testing this, which is not a piece of dry ground.
Well, Greg, if I can interrupt you, we had that. In fact, that person is still on payroll. So what would you recommend?
When you say we had that, what do you mean by that, David?
I'm not sure if I can get into details because that person has been over. But we had that position. We had what I think I can say is that we had a clerk, and we had as a part-time, or as a, the clerk was the administrator. We previously had, before that person has been put on administrative leave. For me, it doesn't make sense to be paying a person, and that person knows the borough probably better than anyone else. So I am kind of perplexed at what we're doing here when the answer is really so simple.
Well, what you're discussing though, David, is a clerk, right? We're discussing an administrator.
I'm also discussing the administrator.
Right, but it's two totally different things, right?
Well, in a lot of towns, Greg, towns this size, do they have a full-time administrator? Or does the clerk often take on extra responsibilities as the administrator, as was done in this town?
There are towns smaller than you that have full-time administrators, and there are towns larger than you that have a joint clerk administrator position.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess the only question I have, Greg, is Glenn Luciano. You're saying that someone wouldn't want to come here because it's Englewood Cliffs and the volatility, but I hear what you're saying about a one-year contract, but to me, an open-ended, they could come here today, be terminated next month, and only be entitled to 90 days pay. If they're guaranteed a year contract, doesn't that make it more attractive to come here for a year, knowing that, they're here for a year instead of they could just be terminated and only be owed 90 days pay?
Not if they know that they can remain in their current position on an open-ended basis, potentially forever, no.
Or it's for someone to leave somewhere else?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm just talking in general. If someone I don't think anybody would want to leave where they're at to come here. Okay, so let's just lay that on the bedrock. So if we're going to hire someone, unless our former administrator, but maybe then, but to me, just in general, if someone was going to come somewhere and not leave where they're at, like Councilman DiGregorio mentioned, someone who is a seasoned, maybe someone who just recently retired, whatever. I mean, isn't a one-year contract more attractive than an open-ended one?
I can only say from my experience, the answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Fehrenbach, it sounds like you're basically leading us in a direction of having your firm stay on at, I don't know, was it $200 an hour, so that's kind of self-serving. What we actually want to talk to you tonight about is finding someone to run this town. And so, put your economics aside, I'm hearing that you can't really help us.
As I just indicated, that is not what I'm saying, but if that's the way you want to perceive it, I am not going to argue with you.
Well, ultimately, it's the council's decision, so you may actually fare better with them than you will with me.
So,
Because the mayor wants.
If I may, with all due respect, towns that I'm familiar with that are very successful view the mayor and council as a body, and while there will be differences of opinion on various issues, they act as a body. They reach consensus among themselves, and it doesn't become I have 4 votes. It doesn't become, well, it's the council, well, it's the mayor. It becomes a matter of consensus. And I would suggest that that model would be better in this environment.
So that all sounds great, but despite all that, you still sent that memo only to one member of the governing body, and none of us got it until today. So you're not really
I sent it to
Hold on,
one
don't
member
interrupt me.
of the
Hold on.
I sent it to
Let me
one
finish.
member of the-
Let me finish. You're not actually practicing what you preach, right? Because you have your own employee here, Jules here. She could have sent it to us. We could have read it. We could have had time to ask 10 questions. Instead, we get it today. So you're really not practicing what you preach. And I've been through a lot of pitches in my life. I would vote against you.
The request I received was from the council president. I submitted it to the council president, and he indicated he was going to circulate it to the rest of the members of the governing body.
And who is your memo addressed to?
It's addressed to the entire governing body.
Right, including the mayor.
It's intended for the entire governing body.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
So, Mayor, I think you understand that it's not Mr. Fernbach's issue. Matt gave an applicable answer of what the delay was. As far as I'm concerned, other input I want to give is, I don't know who Matthew Watkins is, but you mentioned a couple of other outfits, Greg, and I just want this council to realize that I have contacted these people, and they have zero interest in working with us. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, this borough hall is in dire need of moving forward in a progressive way, and I don't see I think that we should welcome any help that we get, as opposed to pushing it away. So I'm all forward any sort of help or any sort of network that Greg possibly leverage for us. Ultimately, his decision is up to the council, but I think that we would be making a big mistake if we didn't invest heavily in bringing a more professional atmosphere to this borough. As far as I'm concerned, that's probably a main component on why we're in the situation that we're in. Had this been done years ago, we probably wouldn't be facing a lot of the problems that we have today. So much of this needs to be corrected.
Mr. Fehrenbach, in preparation for tonight, I ran a PACER case locator search, and I have some cases where you come up. I'm not sure if it's you or someone with the same name. Do you have any pending litigations against your firm or against you?
I'm aware of none.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for joining us. Did you want to do anything else today?
Yeah, I mean, does anybody else have any more questions? Because this is an opportunity to ask an individual who has a pretty strong network within the community, and this is your opportunity, everyone. He brought up critical issues within that memo that need to be addressed, and I'm hoping that the council supports everything that he had to say.
Well, honestly, though, Tim, a lot of
I'm all for consensus.
the things that he mentioned in his memo are things that we've been saying all along. I've been here for 6 years. Those are real issues, but it's kind of like master of the obvious when you're trying to tell us what we already know. Yes, there are behavioral problems in Borough Hall, but there was also a political problem in Borough Hall, right?
And I think the biggest problem is that you need to have
And then
an administrative arm that has some sort of autonomy to run.
Mayor doesn't have anything to do with
No,
it. you know?
well, enough.
No.
He's a carrier.
Enough.
This goes back to
6 years,
What?
as mayor.
You're interrupting Mr. Katrubis. You do not have the floor.
This goes back to what we were discussing, what Greg brings up in the memo, everyone. I think that everyone really needs to be conscious of the fact that if it doesn't pertain to public good, there's no reason to be going back and forth with all this. It's just a complete waste of time, please.
Greg, first of all, I'd like to thank you. You seem like a very experienced and steady person, and I think you know exactly what's going on in Englewood, because it doesn't take, I mean, if you look at a few of the council meetings, you can see there's a severe dysfunction here. There's a total lack of trust. I would call it a cesspool of contempt. And I don't mind disagreeing with somebody, but when a weak mayor model then weaponizes attorneys to go after other council people, the problem basically is coming from the top, and the type of leadership, if you want to call it that we have. And I think that to empower any administrator is a very good thing, and to weaken that it's a weak mayor model we have in this country. The mayor basically is part of the governing body. It only votes when there's a tie. So I'm in agreement with.
Do you really think he cares about how you
You're
feel?
interrupting me.
Do you really think he cares? He knows. He knows.
You're interrupting me.
Now you're just talking to hear yourself. So let's move the meeting forward.
Just because it's not flattering to you.
No, I'm fine. I know, you say the same thing all the time. If you're not saying it, you're writing it. And if you're not writing and saying it, Karen Geiger's writing it.
So I would say,
Who cares?
I would be supportive of your moving ahead and trying to find a rock solid, I guess you're until a certain finite time, right? And finding someone who's rock solid, who can deal with this and plow through it. I mean, you need the equivalent of one of those ships that can go through ice. It's terrible. It's a horrible situation that we have here. You know who loses? It's the townspeople that lose, the residents that lose. And, I'm just sorry for it. I'm very proud to be on the side of the angels, though.
You always are. Your hands are always clean, David. So nice.
And thanks, Mike.
Mark,
Sure. Let me turn your microphone down. Hold on. Oh, I can see why people had a couple of times. Mark, hit the button so I can see which one it is. Go ahead.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Greg, thanks for your suggestion. My opinion is our town really we need a professional administrator. First of all, they should be independent, not inclined to any party, politically not involving, just for the resident, not for the mayor, not for the Democrat, not for the Republican. Even the 3-year term, really she or he can lead very fairly for our town, doesn't matter about it. We can spend more money, and then we want to keep, establish our town to follow rules and regulations. That I prefer. So I know that 1 year, that we cannot, hire good people. I know that. Who's going to, apply about just a 1 year term? I think we need a minimum 3-year term, but we have to carefully select and interview with those candidates. We we have to select it. I really don't worry about that administration office position to incline any party or any person. Really, I hate it. Maybe all our town residents don't like it. So please, you sincerely work hard and try your best, and then hopefully for us, we can discuss about it. That's my position. What do you think, Dave? Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Do you have any feedback to Mark Park's comments, Greg?
I was only able to pick up every other word. I was having great difficulty being able to hear.
So I'm just going to summarize since I'm here, Mark, and please correct me if I'm wrong. He's searching, he's advocating for a strong individual who's going to carry out their goals and their objectives in an apolitical fashion. And I believe that Mr. Park thinks that the council would support this type of individual, and he's also on board with a longer term. And what Greg was saying before, Mark, he thinks that it should be open-ended. What Mark is saying, open-ended meaning it's indefinite when the person can be let go. Is that right? Can you explain that to us? Because what Mark was saying was more of a 3-year term.
What I am suggesting, and what exists almost universally under the statute that I referred to in the memorandum, is that a person is appointed to the position. They are continuously appraised and evaluated by the governing body regarding their performance. That in the event, at some point in the future, the performance of that person in the position is not satisfactory, and attempts to be able to correct that performance have not been successful, that the person then is given 90 days notice, or in the alternative is given 90 days severance. That is what I am discussing. In the event, it is the council's desire to still have a term. It simply means that during that 1 year, 3 year, 5 year period, whatever it may be, that if the person is considered to be unsatisfactory, while they would be eligible for the 90-day severance under the law, you now have the added problem of the fact that you've authorized the person to stay for a length of time, and by authorizing that person to stay for a length of time, you may be burdened with having to pay that person through the end of that term. And that is generally why an open-ended appointment is considered to be more preferable, and it is almost universal where the position has been created under the section I referred to, 48:9-138.
Thank you, Greg. Does anybody have any other questions regarding his memo? David?
I'm good.
Okay, Greg. Well, if you can, I suppose, the next step is to what? To submit to the council a formal proposal? Is that right?
Yes, yes. I will do that along the lines of what I suggested, which is to be of assistance to the municipality to be able to proceed through this process.
Okay. Thank you very much, Greg, for your
Okay.
time.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the meeting.
You too.
I will leave it at this point, I assume? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I will leave. Have a good evening, and a good holiday.
Good evening.
Too.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
So Can I have a motion to open to the public?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we're now open to the public. If anyone from the public wishes to be heard, please recognize you. Raise your hand, state your name, and address. Let us know.
That one's good.
I vote aye, I'm open to public.
Camera's over there. Microphone's over there.
Where's down?
Where's the microphone?
Microphone's right there.
Oh, so that, I was just saying, is that the one I'm using, and you're going, the microphone's over there?
No, the camera's over there. The microphone's over there. You're welcome to hold it in your hand. But that's only for the tape.
Thank you. Well,
That's not, okay. Let me get your microphone for the room.
attorney will hear you, don't worry. Sorry? I said, you're an attorney, we'll hear you, don't worry.
Hold on.
How do you?
God, work this meeting.
Check.
Turn mine on. David, turn mine on.
Okay, you're good to go.
Okay,
Turn mine back on, David.
that's actually a little, well, I guess that's okay.
No,
It's not.
let's see. There you go.
Ouch. This is a little bit loud too. Hello. That's better. That's good. Okay. Albert H. Wunsch, the third, Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, 400 Sylvan Avenue. When we were here last week, it was brought up that this committee for Mount Laurel was okay. Apparently, some attorney looked this up. I don't know who. But the question is, was it a licensed New Jersey attorney that looked this up? Because I didn't see anything that would give any type of protection of attorney-client privilege for a group that includes a non-member of the council. There is no nexus between that person and the borough attorney. So I would ask that Mr. Munch do a little investigation as to that, as opposed to whoever allegedly looked this up before. The other thing is, it is a waste of time. This committee is not going to be able to sit with Fair Share Housing or any other group that has an attorney, because the council here has an attorney, although not licensed in the state of New Jersey, but we're paying them $879,000. So what is the purpose of a group that cannot do anything? Fair Share Housing is going to laugh at you when they see you come in and say, let's negotiate. And they're going to say, okay, you want more housing? Because we're not going to give you less. And that's even if they say that to you. Because for the most part, they're going to tell you, take a hike, you have a lawyer. A waste of money and time. Now also, last week, I brought to the attention of everyone about the fact that it is illegal to do business with an enterprise that is not licensed in the state of New Jersey. Apparently, Mr. Munch agrees with me, because he wrote a letter to Cadwalader saying that he was not going to have anything to do with. with Cadwalader. He's smart. He's very smart. He's washing his hands of this entire situation because he knows that is what's happening here is illegal. And that Tim, Mark, and Ramon are responsible for this. When you rob the citizens of Englewood Cliffs for hundreds of thousands of dollars, our tax dollars, to hire and pay a firm that is not licensed to do business in New Jersey and that it is illegal to pay, it'd be smart not to leave fingerprints. But there are fingerprints all over the crime scene. And those fingerprints are Tim Katrubis, Mark Park, Ramon Farrow. The smart one of the equation, Mario Kranjak. I always, I give you credit where credit's due. Because you got these fools to do what you wanted. Okay, these potential felons to do what you wanted. And your fingerprints are on the murder weapon. They're not on the crime scene. There's nothing there. You are absolutely blameless on this vote. Mario, you were smart enough to wear gloves. And Ramon, Mark, and Tim, you're the gloves. You're the handmaidens of his efforts. And you're the ones who are going to hang for it. You're the ones that are going to be testing, 1, 2.
Mine's not working, so yours isn't working.
That's not true, mine was working fine.
Right,
until you started playing.
right, but mine wasn't.
So what? So what?
So we're on equal ground now.
When we on equal ground?
We're on equal ground.
I have
That's how it works,
So you
yeah.
don't need the mic. So
No,
when I get
but
done with
I
it-
don't like when David DiGregorio plays games with these microphones.
Son, I'll fix the mic so you can talk.
No, that,
That's right, that was it.
Yeah, that's good. No, don't do that. Let's not do that.
All right. Fine.
Sorry, I'm still picking up on it.
Okay. No
I
problem.
hear it.
So now, the borough attorney will have nothing to do with Cat Lawler, but 1, 2, 3 will. Okay, what does that tell you? It tells you that something stinks in Englewood Cliffs. And it stinks from the head down. So right now, we have a very interesting situation. When Mark, Tim, and Ramon took their seats, they gave an oath of allegiance. And I'm going to read this oath of allegiance that you guys gave when you were sworn in. You do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to same, and to the governments established in the United States and this state, under the authority of the people. You put your hands on a Bible and swore solemn oath to uphold the laws of this state. You put your hand on a Bible, Mark, and you said, I'm going to abide and I'm going to uphold the laws of the state of New Jersey. And you violated the law. Tim, same Bible, same hand, and you are violating your oath and the law. Ramon, shame on you. Same situation. Hand on the Bible, you read this oath, not worth the paper it's written on. You're absolutely, positively pathetic to have violated your oaths of office. You are violating the law of this state. You know, there was a play, Man for All Seasons, okay? There's a very famous scene where
Thomas More, who has been accused, okay, of crimes, has an individual get on the stand and lie and violate his oath, and violate the oath so that they can, one, he can secure office, which he was given the office of the Attorney General of Wales, and two, that he can sink and have executed now St. Thomas More. And More says, Wales, why Richard, it profits a man nothing to give his soul for the whole world, but for Wales. And I put this to you, Mark, Ramon, and Tim. If it profits you nothing to forsake your soul and violate your sworn oaths for the whole world, is it worth doing it for Mario? You people need to resign immediately. What kind of a legacy are you standing up for when you violate your own oath of office? All these people, hypocrites, they stand up, put their hand on the Bible, and then they violate the law. Very impressive legacy there, Tim. Very impressive legacy, a elder of the church. Ramon, a shame. Resign, folks. You too. What?
Pick up your mess.
No, it's not worth the paper it's written on.
Pick up your mess.
No.
Okay.
That doesn't pick it up. They violated it.
You throw it, which is not kind, and it's
They violated it.
disrespectful.
That doesn't pick it up.
Again, is there ever a meeting where you could come and not be disrespectful? But just for the record, Mr. Wunsch is a defendant in the litigation that has him so exercised, okay? And he's here as a defendant. We have counsel. I don't know if he has counsel. We're not going to comment on that. But there was one thing last week that kind of piqued my interest, and I went back and I listened to it on the tape. Debbie Sabari said that Tim Katrubis met with you for 2 hours in your office.
He didn't say that. She didn't say that at all.
It's on the tape.
You're a liar.
It's on the tape.
You're a liar.
It's on the tape.
You can say it's on the tape, but she didn't say that
But
at
he
all.
actually told me he did meet with you.
You said.
So what did he meet with you
You
about?
said.
What did he meet with you
No,
about?
I don't know. Debbie Sabari
Oh,
said.
you guys made up, kind of, patched things up?
Time out, Mario. I never said I met with anybody.
You said you could talk to whoever you want, and it was in the context of...
So you...
Mario, I'll tell you what.
Okay.
When you come to meet me in my office, I'll tell you everything.
You and I never will meet.
What?
We will never meet.
We meet all the time.
We will never meet.
Oh, don't lie.
No, we will never meet.
We see each other all the time.
No, I'm too busy working.
That's why
All
we
right,
do
is
this
anybody
stuff
else
back
in
and
the
forth.
public?
It's like Dean Martin and Jerry
Can you
Lewis.
pick up the mess, really? It's ridiculous. They just
No,
come in here and-
let them pick it up.
All right.
They're the ones who violated it.
No, but you know you're a defendant, so this probably will get used against you.
What are you gonna do? Hit me on littering now?
Yes, Mrs. O'Shea. Sorry.
Mary O'Shea, 12 Irving Avenue. I hate to bring this up again, but again, this meeting was not advertised in the Bergen Record. Okay, now I know Ms. Borges knows how to post ads because she did put in the one about the ordinance. But repeatedly, every meeting is not advertised. Other towns' meetings are advertised, even if it's a little ad this big, date and time and place, $12, $15. I can't understand why our ads are not in. If they've ever been sent in, or received, or acknowledged, okay, but I printed up all the page from the Bergen Record legal notices, and none of our meetings are published. The one was published was September 13th, which Ms. Borges didn't have anything to do with, so that one did get in. But tax assessment notices, I know, capital ordinance was posted, planning board is posted, tax sales is posted, but Ms. Borges does not get our meetings publicized. And that is something that has to be corrected. It's wrong, because at the beginning of your meeting, in your Open Public Meetings Act statement, you say it's published in the record. Well, it's not published in the record. okay? And Ms. Chin says, oh, it's on the website. It's supposed to be published in the newspaper. It's not published in the newspaper. So I suggest you get your act together and get it right for a change. Thank you.
Is there anyone else for the public? Yes, I see a hand in the back.
Karen Ryder, 270 Alfred. I have a question.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Please give me a mic,
Absolutely.
because I don't.
With great pleasure. Okay. Ms. Geiger,
Thank you.
hold on, let me do the,
Just make sure it doesn't scream.
could you,
Yes, Dave.
Make sure it's on.
he just, what did he just say? Say it loud so everyone can hear. Say it loud, come on, say it loud.
My mic's not working.
You gotta push the button.
Don't worry. Just show you two colors.
Yes, Dave.
No, make it so that it goes on.
Just push it once and go back.
I think I had to do something for you.
Yeah, give it to me 1 second and I'll take care of it.
Of course you will.
Come on, David. Karen's waiting. David, Karen is waiting. Come on, David.
You entertain yourself, don't you? Look at the smile. Let's
Ms. Geiger is waiting, Karen.
I'm very
Sibling. Check 1, check 2.
Just think if you weren't such a vengeful person, I would have been doing it for you.
There's no cursing here, please. It's no cursing, David.
I think it's very
There's no
sad,
swearing.
really.
but being a decent person would
Hello?
have been
Okay.
bad to do it for you,
Hi, Ms.
but
Geiger.
we blew it.
Okay, question,
You voted for him.
question. On the agenda, there's a not to exceed for special counsel, Rena Law Group, an increase of $40,000, I believe. There is also an item on the executive session agenda, Tucci versus the Borough of Englewood Cliffs. Mr. Tucci is an attorney in the law firm that, the same law firm as Thomas Troutner, who represented the borough in the affordable housing litigation. Mr. Tucci had submitted an Oprah request to the borough multiple times and didn't receive an answer. One of the people
Did you write it for him?
One of the people who was involved in responding to Mr. Tucci was Anne Marie Rizzuto, who is affiliated with the Weena Law Group. Very curiously, the same Anne Marie Rizzuto is now representing the borough in the lawsuit, the Oprah lawsuit, of which she played a part, because she is one of the people who is quoted in several correspondences as not responding. I'd like to know why this council is using a person who is involved herself in these Oprah responses to represent the borough, where the borough is being sued and part of the culpability may lie with her. Can you please explain that to me? Anybody? I guess not.
Keep
I
going.
also want to know what role Ms. Rizzuto plays in Oprah requests. As you know, I have submitted Oprah requests, no answers. Ms. O'Shea has submitted them, she's suing. Mrs. McMorrow has submitted them, she's suing.
Me.
Somehow, I can't say who else has submitted Oprahs because we never get Oprahs responded to.
We made a request last week in the meeting for tonight, was emailed to that.
I did the
I haven't
same.
got anything from Cadwalader, Levi
I
made a
don't,
request.
I don't understand who is reviewing these, Ms. Borchers, if I were to call her, would say, it's out of my hands. Other people have to review it. I want to know who in this, on behalf of the mayor and council, is reviewing the Oprah responses and delaying them. And I certainly hope that the person who is part of the problem in delaying them is not then being the same person who is defending us against that delay. It just doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Thank you, that was very enlightening. Anybody else in the public? Anybody from Bailey Padavano? Anybody else? No, if not, let's move on. Have a motion to close the public portion. All in favor?
You got an envelope.
No, it's really not too technologically difficult, David, to do. I don't get it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I'd like, it's possible to make a motion for a resolution for the special meeting, please.
Sure.
I'd like to call a special meeting. You made a suggestion before, perhaps between Christmas and New Year's.
Sure.
Would that work for everybody? If so, what day?
What day would you like to?
Let's see.
21st?
29th, 28th?
25th?
The 28th is fine with me.
Fine with you.
Okay, so 28th, special meeting.
So you say next week?
That was a motion.
Yeah, we moved it because of the holidays, so we just moved it the following week. Or maybe it would be easier for
So
everybody.
that was a motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
So there's a second. Can all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Mr. Farrow, are you in favor?
That's for the 28th?
Yes. Yes, for the
Yes.
28th.
Councilman Park voted yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody opposed?
I abstain.
Anybody opposed? Okay, Mr. DiGregorio, I didn't hear you on any of
What
those.
time?
I don't know.
Same time as
Same time,
7:30?
every meeting's different, so what time?
It'll be in the paper.
7:30.
Okay. There's resolution 2021-242. This is the resolution authorizing a not to exceed for special counsel, Wiener Law Group LLP. Do you have a motion for that?
Take the motion.
For a roll call?
Discussion or comment?
Is there any discussion? I thought Karen already said what you want to say.
No, but if you want, I'll let her talk. If you want
Yeah,
to
she
put
said
up the
it.
vote.
She's already said it. Now she's probably written her next article already.
So how much is what are, we're adding 40,000, what are we increasing it from?
I don't know.
That's what I thought, so I'm gonna vote no, because
Just,
no one can tell me what we're increasing it from.
Maybe Ms.
I'm gonna vote no.
Simpson can tell us.
That's it, that's all I had for discussion, thank you.
Do you have any answer to
Thank you
that
for
question?
being.
I believe their initial amount was 155,000.
Do we have to see that phone sign off that there's money in this one?
Yes, she said that.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second, we've discussed it. Can I have a roll call? Vote.
Councilman Federer? Councilman Park?
Yes.
Councilman DiGregorio?
No.
Councilman Luciano? Council President Katurbis?
Yes.
All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Any new business?
It's a special meeting. There's nothing on the agenda for the
All
business.
right.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Take the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.